CNN is continuing to stand by a story that one of the people who sourced it says might be false. In July, CNN broke news that Donald Trump was aware of that famous meeting with the Russian lawyer inside Trump Tower before the meeting happened. This would be potentially significant. Lanny Davis, the lawyer representing Michael Cohen, says he was the source for that story. And then he admitted he doesn't really know if it's true. He can't back it up. CNN says it has other sources for the story, though it hasn't revealed who they might be. Last night on this show, journalist Glenn Greenwald explained CNN's reticence to backtrack on an obviously false story.
I find it to be, and obviously this is a high bar, one of the most humiliating and scandalous moments in the entire media behavior of the Trump-Russia saga. And they don't want to admit that they lied to the world, so they can't retract the story, and they can't admit they lied, so they're just continuing to stick to what everybody knows is a lie, but not many people care because people think, a lot of people anyway, that it was done for the right political agenda.
Alan Dershowitz is an emeritus professor of law at Harvard Law School. He's the author of The Case Against Impeaching Trump, and he joins us tonight. Professor, thank you for coming on. So watching this CNN saga, I keep, and by the way, you know, lots of news organizations get stories wrong. I've gotten stories wrong. My complaint is really, first, that they're not telling us what happened, but more than that, would it be significant if the story were true? In other words, if the president knew this meeting with this Russian lawyer was about to take place, should any of us care? Does that matter? Is that illegal? Is it unethical?
Well, it's certainly not illegal. The president's certainly entitled to know about a meeting between his son and somebody who wanted to give him dirt on a candidate or who wanted to talk to him about maybe changing rules involving sanctions. Those are all, perfectly proper meetings. But CNN is in a box. I want to put the best possible light on it. Let's assume it has one or two other sources in addition to Lanny Davis, who did the right thing by coming forward, acknowledging that his story, he doesn't have any support for his story. But they can't reveal their sources. And I have two suggestions for them. Number one, that they tell us the nature of the sources without telling us the names. Are they eyewitnesses? Is it a hearsay source? Or second, that they give the source to their expert on journalism and let their expert decide whether or not they should stick with the story, or some outside expert, somebody from the Columbia School of Journalism, who could learn the name of the sources, then go talk to the sources, still keep their names confidential, and then come forward and say, you know, there is a basis, we're standing behind CNN. They have to do something to preserve their credibility.
Well, sure. I mean, all news organizations, us, them, all of us call for transparency. That's our job. So we should provide it when asked, and they're not. So you wrote a piece recently that reminded me, anyway, that you're not, I know that you have been typecast as a Trump defender, but you're not a Trump defender. You're a liberal. And I think you've got a lot of problems with Trump. But in the piece, you made a really interesting point, I thought. You said that our system of checks and balances is out of whack because of the independent prosecutor and his investigation. Tell us what you meant.
That's absolutely right. Look, everybody's checking everybody else under the kind of Madisonian system of checks and balances that has served us so well. The courts are striking down executive orders, sometimes upholding them.
Yes.
The president's checking Congress. Congress, particularly if the Democrats get control, will check the presidency. But who's guarding the guardians? Who is overseeing the special counsel or other overzealous prosecutors? The courts aren't doing it. There's no process that today exists, and I suggested the appointment of a permanent group to oversee prosecutorial overreaching. It could include great former prosecutors like Robert Morgenthau, the legendary DA of New York. It could include ethics experts like Stephen Gillers, the professor at Columbia, constitutional experts like Floyd Abrams, and they would have the opportunity to at least file reports about prosecutorial overreach, because today the special counsel is the only institution of government outside of our system of checks and balances.
Whoever thought that up is insane. I hope you live forever, because we need people to remind us of that. Thank you, Professor. Thank you very much.
I'm turning 80 in 2 days, so I'm on my way. Thank you.
Well, please keep going. We appreciate it.
Thank you.